And I forget the exact context, but we were talking about just the tendency of Christians to clutch their pearls at certain things in ways that like make you question their priorities. And I used the Glenn Greenwald controversy as a springboard for this because that had happened recently at the time of me recording that. And I remember when all that was going on, for the most part, it seemed like people had generally pretty reasonable takes where they were going, okay, like the leaked stuff of Glenn, we already knew Glenn was a practicing. I think there's room to criticize that. But in the moment when what is happening is there's a basically right wing and almost corollary, at least establishment left wing, right wing and left wing media frenzy, cancel mob telling us to focus on things that we could have guessed about Glenn already. And now we just have video clips on, which I don't even want to watch. To then, okay, now we need to start talking about this and having a conversation about sexuality and how degenerate Glenn is, when it's clear that you just want to discredit his anti-war stuff. No, I'm not going to participate in that because at the end of the day, as much as I think these things are not unimportant to a conversation about having a free and moral society, like those, there has to be, as I said in the cold intro there, of understanding the degrees of impact and degeneracy amongst different sinful behaviors, both on an individual and more, I guess, collective societal scale. And I'm sorry, but I don't see an argument to say that a gay couple doing what is normal for them, degenerate gay sex behavior, just doesn't even really register in my outrage meter compared to mass murder campaigns being sanctioned and protected and funded by my government with my tax dollars, while they also print a bunch of money that destroys our savings and our livelihoods. And I think that millions of people being killed through a device which is economically devastating, not just America, but the world, leading to economic consequences, which then promote less real production and more like fake pseudo production and bubbles and distortions in the market and malinvestment, which then promotes more reliance on government and more welfare, which then feeds back into the degeneracy problem, by the way, and the problem of hedonism and self-indulgence. But like the Federal Reserve, the way our financial system is structured to prop up the war machine, that's the heart of the beast. All this like sexual stuff in terms of that I laid out in the first 20 minutes here, like that is all way downstream. That is it's not even just a second order consequence, it's like a fourth or fifth order consequence of the main like foundation of what our focus should be, which is far more, and I'm going to talk about the term degeneracy here in a minute, but is far more degenerate than what the clips of Glenn Greenwald. Yeah, I could even make an argument that Glenn Greenwald, insofar as I would say he does degenerate things, but his impact on anti-war coverage is generative enough that you could almost make an argument that maybe it more than washes out in terms of his net impact, right? That he's a net good for society, even though it doesn't make his sins less sinful or him any less of a sinner who needs to be saved and sanctified and to repent. But just in terms of the consequences of his sin, his private sin is not impacting me. His journalism is impacting society in a positive way. So anyway, in episode 100, when I'm talking about this with Cody, I brought up Andrew Wilson, who was doing this freak out about this and saying to like, how can there be conservatives defending Glenn Greenwald? And I must be the last sane person on earth and things like that. And just doing his normal stick. And listen, there's some people I know who question why I even talk to Andrew and like Andrew. I have a certain soft spot for certain on the right wing populist side, and Andrew's one of them. Stephen Wolf is one of them. CJ Engle's one of them. There's a lot of really important fundamental disagreements. But each one of them has a couple things where I go, I really like this. Same with Glenn, for that matter. Like, I don't agree with Glenn on a lot of stuff outside of war, but I really like his anti-war and anti-empire coverage. There's a couple things that Andrew does that I like. I also think Andrew's just funny. Like, I watch his show because a lot of it is just comedy and performative and it makes me laugh. You don't have to like, that's fine, but I do. And so anyway, all that to say, but yeah, I think Andrew does some good things, but overall, a lot of his spiel, like when we had our debate, I talked about this in episode 97, is this sort of like just doubling down on the trying to make you feel icky about something and trying to really like, which what conservatives do and liberals do it, leftists do it in their own way, but trying to play into like your fear reaction or your moral outrage, right? And then we're not acting out of first principles. We're not constructing a systematic theology and a working overarching theory of Christian political action. We're just like, gross thing bad must stop, right? And so must use men with guns to stop. It's not even an argument. It's an assertion based on moral outrage. And that's what Andrew was doing in these X posts, and I called it out. And then Andrew was upset about me calling it out, or at least saying that I was being silly and stupid and saying it's easy to say this stuff when I'm not here to defend myself. I extended an invitation to Andrew to, fine, you want to come on and talk? Come on and talk. That invitation is open. I invited him to come on tonight. He said he could. I don't know if he's going to show up or not. I'm going to stream probably till about 9:30 my time, Eastern time. If he shows up, we'll talk. If not, the door's still open. Maybe we'll do another time. But I figured I'm going to do a stream tonight either way and talk about this stuff, lay out my case. Andrew, if you watch this later, maybe listen to my entire case. Maybe instead of a convo, we'll do a debate on it. I don't know. But yeah, that's where I'm coming from. That's the premise of what we're talking about here today.